Hari Om. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankara Acharya Madhyamam Asmad Acharya Paryanta Vande Guru Parampara Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Jnanarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddharbhavati Me Sada. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhi Namastuma Vidyushavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Hari Om once again to all of you. The purpose of our life. What exactly is the purpose of our life? And this purpose of our life also matters a lot. When you say that matters a lot, the purpose of our life is something that makes a difference in each one of us. And that purpose of our life is something that is guided by certain values. And when we try to define the purpose, the first and foremost aspect will come to us in our mind. Who truly I am and what makes me unique? What is that which is making me to stand out? Probably when we say standing out, the values are the most important aspects. Correct? One is the value and other one is who truly am I? And we know that we cannot be the changing body, mind, intellect, etc. These all are ubadhis which are consistently changing. So that is where one will be able to appreciate the active expressions of the deepest dimensions with us. The active expression of the deepest dimension within us. When we say the active expression of the deepest dimension, it is very easy, it is very commonsensical also to understand that the body is consistently changing. Body undergoes this parinamam, similar to the mind, similar to the intellect. For example, the capability to remember things, capability to grasp things. When I say intellect or the mental power, etc., this all will change over a period of time. When the body gets aged, the capability to remember, recollect, all those things will change. So still one will be able to realize the deepest dimension within us, something which is not changing, something that is witnessing the changes happening in the objects that includes our own body, our own mind, our own intellect, and the world that we are interacting on a daily basis. So again, when we say purpose is something that aim or that can be aimed as the structure that we create in our lives, or the value, as I mentioned. Apart from the value, the source of energy. For example, we sometimes get wondered, this person is very active even at 8 p.m. How this person is getting energy? What is the kind of enthusiasm this person is having? So that is a different dimension. Here what I am trying to say is the structure of our lives, especially when I say structure, the deepest dimension, the capability to identify the deepest dimension, deriving the source of energy from that deepest dimension, deriving the motivation and direction in our life. It is very important, right? When irrespective of what work we do, what roles we play in life, having a purpose in life is very important. So that is where our dharmam, the Sanatana dharmam, coined out the Purushartha, Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. Every one of us should undergo this, the Parama Purushartha. Artham, Kamam, within the framework of Dharma. And these all are needed to meet whatever is needed for the body, for the kind of transactions that we do. But the ultimate purpose in life is the moksha, the quest of unlocking our true purpose. And Vedantam says that this quest of unlocking our true purpose begins from where? Begins from the belief that we already have that vastu, the siddha vastu in us. When I say vastu, we cannot objectify it, but for the sake of understanding, the quest of unlocking the true purpose begins from within, begins from the belief that we all have a profound dimension within us. That dimension is now covered with different things. So that uncovering has to happen. So that is the beauty. The unlocking has to happen within. That unlocking, nobody can come from outside and do the unlocking. One has to do. And this unlocking is an inner unlocking. And the purpose, again, the topic that we started is the purpose of life. If you see the descriptions from a psychologist's point of view, they say the purpose of life is something that describes it as a pathway to happiness, because everyone will find out the true purpose of their life. And scientists say that, it is very much essential for bringing clarity to bring the or maintain or boost the health of the brain and well-being. And in the modern world, the experts say that this is the key to exceptional productivity. So when, say, the psychologists or scientists or experts say this, our rishis already said that purpose in our life should be within us. It cannot be taken from outside, and it cannot be taken from us also. Nobody can take this. And the purpose has to be derived within. And purpose has to be derived within, and we don't need any ubadhi from outside to know our purpose in life. Why I'm saying is, I was reading Economic Times a few days back. There, I think it was almost 2 pages, where the topic is all about unlock the true purpose of the organizations. That was the topic. Unlock the true purpose of the organization. Why this organization exists? Why my organization exists? So that is where they have the value structure, they have the vision, mission, and especially the sustainability goals and all those things are coming up. So that is where every organization should think about the real purpose. So then I started thinking like beyond the organization. And if you see the organization comprises of individuals, the humans, right? It is very important to understand the true purpose of the individual before going to the purpose of the organization, because the organization is built by the individuals. So when we say the purpose of the organization, that article was also saying it is important to identify the task to be undertaken for knowing the true purpose. So then, isn't it important to identify our true purpose in life? Isn't it needed to have a clarity in our life based on the true purpose? And now if you see, our 21st century is all about acceleration in everything. Acceleration in infrastructure, becoming global. The world is a global economy. Everything is technology driven. Right? And why I'm saying is that article which I read talks about the purpose movement in the business. So now it is very important for us to understand what is the purpose, what is my true purpose. And the sense of purpose in an individual comes from within. And when the individuals have got the sense of purpose that is coming from the within, they can think about a broader purpose of the organization, what the organization should stand for. So now let's come back to the purpose of an individual. So today we use the dhyana slogans from the Pradasmarana Stotra. When we wake up, Pradasmarami Hridi Samspurad Atmatattvam Satchit Sukham Paramaham Sagadim Turiyam Yat Swapna Jagara Sushuptam Avaidi Nityam Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Najabhuda Sangha. This subject, when we are aware of that, in the deep sleep, everything plunged into the subject, the all objects plunged into the subject. And I was aware of that because the anandam that I get when I open my eyes, when I come out of the sleep. So now, what is that which is allowing me to wake up? I do a smarana of that. Pradasmarami Hridi Samspurad Atma Tattvam. The Tattvam which is ever effulging in me. In the deep sleep also, everything plunged into that Tattvam. And that is the Tattvam which is allowing me to wake up. And that is the Tattvam which is there in all states. And the Paramahamsas say that this is the Turiya Avastha. And that Tattvam, in a simple way, it is the existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute, which cannot be explained with the comprehending or comprehensive capability of the mind and the words. Now I want to say one more thing. Most of us will come back and say, yeah, I do have a purpose in life. I have very good clarity on what I need to achieve in my life, what sort of wealth I have to create, etc. Let's not get confused with the goals and the purpose in life. When we say the Purushartham, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksham, Moksham is at a higher level. Dharma, Artham, Kamam. artha and kama inside the boundary of dharma. So here one should be very clear. Moksha is the real purpose in life. Now it is confused with the goals that need to be achieved in our life. For example, I need to get this certification, I need to pass this exam, I need to get promotion, or I need to make something, or I need to strategically create something. These all are goals. And again, these goals are the kind of achievements that we are targeting outside from the material transactions that we are trying to do, where they do have a limitation in the plane of space, time, object, causation. The purpose the purpose of our life is different from the goals. It should not be confused. Goals that need to be achieved in the life cannot be the real purpose in life. The real purpose in life is something profound and subtle. And that purpose of our life, what we need to do to find out that, we need to find out the true self. When we say yat sapna jagara sushuptam avaidhi nityam, this is the truth that is existing as the ever-effulging principle. Sada nirasta kuhavam satyam param dhimahi. From the Bhagavatam's point of view, it's all about finding the positive influence of the immortality within us. Because the transactions that we do, be it our own body, mind, intellect, sense, the capabilities, the skills, the world that we interact, the people that we interact, they all have the limitations of space, time, object, causation, and we are trying to get the achievements from these limited things, and we call it as the goal. And this cannot be the real purpose in life. The real purpose in life has to be something different. So that is where the Pradasmarana Stotram helps us. What is that truth? Who are you? Who am I? So that self has to be discovered, and finding that positive influence of the self within us, which is immortal. So now, why I got this topic? Because purpose of organizations, where the individuals are making a purpose for an organization. So if the real purpose of our life is not known, be it sustainability, be it serving the society, these all are the kind of organizational purpose coming into picture. Profit or wealth, etc., everyone says as a byproduct, because when the organization runs for the purpose, these all will become a byproduct. For example, the wealth, the profitability, etc. So when we have to find a purpose for an organization, isn't it important for identifying the true purpose of ourselves, where the individuals are running the company, the organization, where they are setting up the purpose of an organization or a firm? Is that needed or not? This is the question. So finding the true purpose of life is the call to action in the world. It is very important. So that is what it is lacking in the modern world. People are confused in terms of achieving different goals, achieving different things, and trying to imitate those goals as the true purpose of the life. Let me ask another question to all of you. The kind of, say, serving, the goal of an organization is serving the customers in a better way with profound solutions using technology. This is a kind of a statement. Isn't it required an individual having the sense of igniting and inspiring oneself and others, or teaching and directing oneself as well as the others? When we say making solution, etc., it's all about becoming expert there. You becoming expert, you take the expertise to the outside world in the form of product, solution, etc. Or the higher values such as making convenience, simplifying the life of humanity, finding or giving more sense, more well-being measures, or giving better comfort, convenience, etc. When we say that this is the purpose of an organization, isn't it important that the person who is creating a purpose for the organization should also be free, having the sense of liberation, or enable liberation within as well as to the people? Maybe you also have heard about boundaryless organizations and things like that. These all are the new management terms we can hear. Boundaryless meaning egoless, no rigidness. If you say an organization is boundaryless, ultimately we all have to understand that the people who are driving the organization are responsible for getting this kind of culture. So it means they themselves should have this kind of value structure. So goals and the true purpose of life. This is the point one. Point number two, means to live versus meaning to live for. Means to live versus meaning to live for. Means to live, you know that there are different ways to live, different jobs that you can do, different avenues for you to live in this world, versus meaning to live for. So goals versus the true purpose of our life, and means to live versus meaning to live for. Harnessing the power of purpose to live more conscious life and addressing the situations that are coming in our life in a natural and practical way. Meaning to live for. When we say meaning to live for, that is where again it is linked to the purpose of our life. What is making me to exist in this form? What are the value structures that I can create and I can give to the people around me? What is the kind of role modeling I can do? These all are very subtle compared to the means to live. Means to live is something you can do whatever you want to, just survive in this world, versus meaning to live for. So that is where practically we all have to think, because we all are interacting with this world, interacting with society, interacting with different individuals. We can bring change when we have a purpose in life, the true purpose in life, not the gods. Gods we need. I'm not saying we should not have gods in life. The true purpose in life. And second is the meaning to live for. If you have these two things, then we will be converting our life into a natural or a practical way. So for that, what we need to do, understand the self. When we say understand the self, also understand the temporary or the temporariness of the material objects that we deal with on a daily basis. And see what is not changing, what is giving energy to this. What is the underlying aspect of all the unchanging, and what is the underlying aspect of all the changing things? What is the underlying unchanging aspect of all the changing things in life, in this world? What is the underlying unchanging aspect of all the changes which are happening in myself, in the body, in the mind, in the intellect, in the senses? What is the underlying unchanging aspect that I can see in all the transactions that I do or I have done? The true self, which is not changing, which is the unchanging underlying aspect. So uncover that self. Also understand the temporariness of the things that we deal. And then the next step is discover that self. When you say discover that life, discover through the Sravana, Manana, Dhyana. And see the larger purpose of my life. The kind of interconnectedness that you can see around. So that is where one will be able to move out of the selfishness to some higher levels, or maybe towards the selflessness. And the third level is the connectedness of the self. When we say connectedness of the self, the Kshetrajnan within us as the truth, the same Kshetrajnan is there everywhere. That is the force which is there behind the names and forms. The Para Prakriti behind the Apara Prakriti. So that is where one will be able to appreciate the same divinity in others through the Sravana, Manana, Dhyanam. The third step, one will be able to see the connectedness of the self. The real selfishness will go away and reach to the state of selflessness. Caring, that comes for the sake of others. Because it is my responsibility to care others. Listening to others, giving a kind word to the others for the sake of others. Then the rediscovery of the true purpose through moments that add value in life. What is that which makes others happy? Through my actions. And this will also keeps us to stay present. Also able to derive the energy from within. This state is called as the moksha or the antariga sukham by the scriptures. And this is the state of highest perfection. Having meaningfulness, purposefulness, wholesomeness in life. Bhagavan in 5th chapter, Karma Sannyasa Yogam, verse number 24 says, Yo andha sugho andar arama tada andar jodireva yaha Sa yogi Brahma Nirvanam Brahma Bhudodi Gacchati. The one who is happy from within, whose contentment is within, who is illumined by the inner light, such a person will become one with the Brahman and attains the absolute freedom. Absolute freedom here it is referred as the Brahma Nirvana. So what is really needed? These all are the guiding principles for all of us. For us to evolve, discovering the true self, discovering the purpose of life, meaning in life, finding out meaning in different avenues that we encounter, we need two aspects. One is knowledge of one's essential nature, that is the true self, Surupa Jnanam. And the Surupa Jnanam will come when the mind is equipped. But still, the equipping of the mind is a continuous process. And again, we cannot say that, yeah, I am equipped and fine, perfection has been reached. We cannot. That is where, we are the social beings and we interact. Purification of mind is very much needed. But we also need to create or enable the mind to reach the state of equanimity. Are able to address the dvandam which comes to us in a cool-headed manner. That comes only through the mental purification and mental stillness. Equanimity of the mind and the knowledge of one's essential nature only will help. And that is the true purpose of our life. And the potential is there within us. What one has to do is just unlock. Unlocking is only needed here. Potential is there. With that, let us get into the Atmabodha. This is just a kind of an introduction for us to go through the verses 54, 55, 56. These three verses, we can say the Tadastha Lakshana. When I say Tadastha Lakshana, the description of Brahman, description of our true self is explained with the help of another object, and that object doesn't make much sense, but still for the sake of explaining we cannot say attribute or qualities of the Brahman, but for the sake of explaining about Brahman, we are using the Tadastha Lakshana. Tadastha Lakshana in the next three verses. For example, maybe what is that I can show as an example here. For example, there are 5 houses in a lane. Okay, the third house is Ramu's house. Okay, and there is a tree in front of Ramu's house. And there is a big tree and some other trees are there. But there is a crow sitting and making sound in front of Ramu's house, the third house. Now it is easy for me to say, standing at the beginning of the lane and say, see the crow sitting there and making noise. The house which is near to that tree is Ramu's house. And you should also understand that the crow temporarily sits there, right? The crow can move from that tree to another tree. But at this point of time, the crow is sitting there and making sound. So now it is easy for me to say the crow who is making sound on that tree. Ramu's house is adjacent to that tree. So is crow a part of that house? Is the crow a part of that house? No. Crow is not a part of that house. But with the help of the crow, we are trying to distinguish Ramu's house. Correct. And now let me ask another question. If the crow is not there, can we still identify Ramu's house? Still, right? So this is where we call it as Tadastha Lakshana. Just to explain in a simple way, we use some objects, but that objects are not permanent. That objects are not associated with the subject, because even the crow flies away, right? If now the crow is flying away and going and sitting near to the fifth house, right? So will that become Ramu's house? No. So here supreme experience is explained here as the greatest gain, the greatest knowledge, having gained which one cannot feel anything, any sort of incompleteness. That is what the verse number 54 says. Let's chant it. Yallabhana paro labho yet sukhana param sukham yet jnanana param jnanam tat brahmetyeva dharayed. So yallabhad aparaha labhana yet sukhad aparam sukhamna yad jnanad aparam jnanam na tad brahma idi avadharayed. So it is this supreme experience is the greatest gain, the greatest knowledge. Having gained that, one will not feel any sense of incompleteness. One cannot see any incompleteness within. One will always experience the state of perfection. So now, this is clear. But the issue is the imperfections or the sense of imperfections are coming every now and then. Why this is happening? Because at one side we know we all are perfect, we all are Purnam, we all are complete. But the imperfection is coming every now and then. From where these imperfections are coming? The imperfections are coming from the ego. Imperfections are coming from the jiva. Imperfections are coming from the individuality. So what one has to do? Realize the self as Brahman. The attainment of which leaves nothing more to be attained. The blessedness of which leaves no other bliss to be desired. And the knowledge of which leaves nothing more to be known. In Upanishad, it says that Ega Vijnanena Sarva Vijnanam. Three things: Sarva Vijnanam, Sarva Anandam, Sarva Libhyada. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, these terms Esha Asya Paramagadi, Esha Asya Parama Loga, Esha Asya Parama Ananda. Our true nature is existence, consciousness, absolute, bliss absolute. Existence, consciousness, knowledge, bliss absolute. Sarva Vijnanam, the possibility of all knowledge, the possibility of all happiness, the possibility of all attainment that one can have. So our core is that. But the peripheral is all operating at the plane of ego. And the peripheral is always acting outside. So the incompleteness is coming from the peripheral, so called as the ego, so called as the jiva, or the aikyam with the limitedness that is coming from the material world. Because by nature, the material world things are limited. That is where the ego, out of the transactions, are confining to that limitations. So what one has to understand is the true self, the true potential within one. So the Advaita Bodha Anubhava, that is same as the Brahma Loga Anubhava. Brahmavaloga Dishanam Muda Mahabadeva. This is the possibility within all of us. Elevating ourselves from the limitations to the unlimited possibilities. In fact, we are getting this in the Sushupti on a daily basis. The state of perfection we are reaching, but only problem is the ignorance is prevailing. The state of voidness, because no objects to be experienced there. So now Vedanta says, when you deal with the objects also, you experience this state of existence, knowledge, consciousness, bliss absolute. Let this become the dominant thought. Let this become the dominant force for you to drive everything that you do. Rather than you getting trapped into the limited things. That is what Vedanta says. Yesha asya paramagadi. And this comes out of the wisdom, Purnatvam, out of the Advaita Anubhavam. I am not different from that reality. My true nature is existence, knowledge, bliss absolute. It is not difficult because we experience this in the Sushupti daily. State of perfection is within us. That cannot be derived from outside. Verse number 55. Yad drishtva na param drishyam yad bhutva na punarbhava yajñātva na param jneyam tat brahmetyavadharayed. Yad drishtva drishyam apara na yad bhutva punarbhava na yad jnātva jneyam aparam na tad brahma iti avadharayed. Realize that to be Brahman, which when seen leaves nothing more to be seen, having become which one is not born again into the world of becoming, and which when known leaves nothing else to be known. So here it is a bit difficult to comprehend because we all are in the business of becoming. We are trying to become that, become this, become that, become this, versus being. Being is the underlying substratum of all the objects. Subject is the substratum of all the objects. But out of our casual nature, we are always with the becoming philosophy and trying to connect with different objects without seeing the underlying reality of the Brahman as the subject of the objects. Underlying reality of the names and forms as this principle. So now the Brahman as the cause of everything. The reality underlying the effect is not different from the reality underlying the cause. Because names and forms cannot independently exist. There is no meaning for the names and forms without the existence, consciousness, bliss principle. So now we need to transition from the business of becoming to being. So Rupa Jnanam, one has to understand the true self, not theoretically, through the Sravana Manana Dhyanam, and from the Jnanam, Vijnanam should come within us. Bhagavan in 15th chapter, Purushottama Yoga, says that Yadgatva na nivartande tadhama paramam mama. The one who reach me will never return. If you understand the implied meaning, the one who reaches to that knowing is being with that. They will never return. They will never go back to the trap of objective plane. They will be always with the subject. That is the implication here. They will never go back, meaning they will never go back and get into the trap of the objective world. They are always with me, with the subject. They will never return. They will never go back to the plane of problems. In Chandogya Upanishad again, this happens in the Uddhalaga Shvetaketu dialogue. Son coming after the Gurukula Vidyabhyasa with lot of pride, madam, ahangaram, says to father that I learned everything and I am the perfect. I don't have, I have that clarity and I don't, I am the perfect one with this kind of knowledge that I gained from the Gurukula. Father realizes that, if he has known this, he cannot be like this. There the father asked this question, Yena ashrudam shrudam bhavadi amadam madam avijnadam vijnadam idi kadam nu bhagava sa adesha bhavadi idi. Have you ever asked for that by which we hear what is unheard, by which we perceive what is unperceived, by which we know what is unknown? In a simple way, Ega Vijnanena Sarva Vijnana. By knowing this, you will reach the state of knowing everything. Yena Enashrudam Ashrudam Bhavadi Amadam Madam Avijnadam Vijnadamiti Kadam nu Bhagavasa Adesha Bhavadi. And the father explains this through different analogies. In fact, son takes the refuge. Yeah, I missed this. So through different examples, maybe I think the first example is the underlying clay behind all the pots. The names and forms we call it as pots, different pots. The underlying substance, the underlying reality behind all pots as the clay. Sarvam Mranmayam Vijnadam Vrittika Idi Eva Satyam. There is only one clay behind all the pots. When we say everything that could be known, the possibility of all-knowingness. For example, when you say, I know physics, I don't know chemistry, I learned this, I still don't know. There is something which is knowing that I know or I don't know, or I learned, I still have to learn. Meaning all the intellectual endeavors are what? The reflections of the self on the objects. So the only way is what? Self-discovery. And I have to be ease with myself. Coming out of the becoming business and get into the being business. Verse number 56. These all are related verses. Tiryak urthamada purnam Sachidanandamadvayam Anandam Nityamekam Yad Tad Brahmetyavadharayed. Tiryak urtham ada purnam Sachidanandam Advayam Anandam Nityam Egam Yad Tad Brahma Idi Avadharayed. So, realize that this Brahman is existence, consciousness, bliss absolute, which is non-dual, which is infinite, which is eternal, and it is only one that fills all that is existent above, below, and all that exists between. This is the unchanging, infinite, eternal, non-dual truth. And the nature of Brahman is the eternity, bliss, and knowing Brahman should be the supreme goal. That is the purpose of our life. That should be the real purpose of life. Knowing is the business that we do in the external world. I would say becoming. Becoming is the business that we do in the material plane. So we need to go to the business of being. Mundagam says, Taded Aksharam Brahma Sa Pranastadu Vangmana. And this reality is behind the Pranan, Vak, Manas. In our Pradasmarana Stotra Dhyanam also, Vajo Vibhanti Nigilayad Anugrahena Yam Nedi Nedi Vajanair Nigama Avojan Tam Deva Devam Ajam Achudam Ahuragrim. And this cannot be comprehended, this cannot be explained with the mere words, with the mere comprehensive capability of the mind, because this is the reality behind the pranan, vak, manas, etc. And that is our true nature, and that true nature is the immutable substratum. We will be able to understand that by negating the things. For example, can I be the body? Can I be the changing things? Ultimately, one will be able to understand that I am the changeless substrate through negation. And this changeless substratum is the all-pervading reality and the reality behind our pranan, vak, manas, shariram, etc. So this reality is explained using the Tadastha Lakshanam. These three verses are very important. These three can be used as the Dhyana Slokams. With that, I will stop here. We will take some questions if we have. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.